We are activating your unique self-discovery one show at a time. The Orchard of Wisdom Self-Discovery podcast are at your fingertips, just waiting to inspire and invite you in discovering just how awesome you really are and how to navigate through life in joy, enrichment, personal abundance, in mind, body, spirit, heart, and soul. All the people we bring you are here to serve you on your journey of life. Do enjoy our next show. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Quantum Spirituality right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my guest today is Adrian Armstrong, all the way from Vernon, BC, Canada. We are going to be talking about the miraculous benefits of PEMF therapy, pulsed electromagnetic fields. It's a mouthful there. And we're going to be talking about what is that and how does it work for us. And he says why it is essential to the health and longevity. Everything is energy. Totally agree. PEMF works as a whole body battery recharger to charge up your cellular batteries and create resonance in every cell to earth-based natural frequencies, giving you a quick dose of what we should be getting from nature. Nature provides everything, but we're not always tuned in. In his late 20s, he sustained a serious back injury that was incapacitating and it left him unable to work or enjoy life at all. He spent 10 years searching for an effective solution for his back pain, and after trying a variety of treatments and bodywork, both traditional and alternative, he began to study Tai Chi. Realizing that Tai Chi and the alignment of the brain hemispheres were the answer for his crippling back problems, he began to learn all he could about health science, effective nutritional supplements, body alignment, and the philosophy and practice of the martial arts Tai Chi. The difference these health and wellness practices made to his life was so profound that he decided to dedicate himself into helping others through being a health coach, teaching Tai Chi and Qigong, a slightly different version of Tai Chi, doing alignments and professional massage and educating people about the effective nutritional supplements and online marketing. He also, around this time that his family member began to succumb to cancer, first his dad, then his mum, and finally his 52-year-old sister. He delved deep into the study of this disease condition and causes and possible treatments. And in August 2015, after a car accident and a shoulder injury, he discovered PEMF therapy mats and started using one for himself with all the message clients. And the results that he felt and that he witnessed in others were remarkable, and that educating people on the benefits of PEMF became his main mission. In over 37 years of helping people with their health issues, he has never seen anything that consistently got amazing results for everyone that used it regularly. There is truly nothing that he could do for your life that would bless it more than to help you include daily PEMF therapy into your world. And that is something we are all needing, is a little energy in our lives. So many people don't realize that energy is the current, the oxygen, the fuel, the everything that runs through our body that makes everything tick. And if we don't have the right chi, the energy running through our bodies, this is when we end up with disease and disconnect and pain. So energy is extremely important to our well-being, isn't it, Adrian?
Absolutely, yeah. Every cell in your body is like a little battery.
Yes, yes.
Most,
And I
most people,
know.
when they get sick, it's because their energy gets too low and the cells can't do the work they need to do. So
Exactly.
it's critical.
Yeah. Um, I know firsthand about that because the condition I have is draining of the batteries and they never fully recharge. So I know exactly what it's like to kind of always be sluggish and never feel fully charged up. And we don't realize how much we rely on our energy just to get us through each and every day. But if we're in optimized energy, then we actually realize how we could really get into that sixth gear and be far more productive in our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And most people for energy, they'll go to sugar or
Mm.
coffee or things that give them a little boost.
Yeah.
But then actually when that wears off, you kind of crash and you're actually worse off than you were before you started. So this actually gives you energy in the way the cells are meant to get energy. and actually creates real ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate, but that's the molecular energy that is created in your mitochondria. So this actually creates real ATP in your mitochondria and helps your body utilize it as well.
We charge our phones, we charge our iPads, we charge everything else. So basically what you're saying this is a charging for our body.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's nothing more important than charging up your body, right? That's why people get sick, because they don't have enough energy to keep themselves healthy. And when you eat a meal, your body, so let's say you just sprained your ankle, but now you've just eaten a meal, your body has to go and digest that food, so it takes energy away from the healing process. That's why quite often it's good, and animals do the same. They'll fast when they're injured. They just have this innate knowledge that they shouldn't be eating because they want to be healing.
Right, right. This is why we also see people when they've been injured or are in pain lose their appetite. It's kind of nature's way, isn't it?
It is. It's nature's way.
Mm. We're very much conditioned to go for the pill, to band-aid the pain. But if we're in acknowledgement of what's going on in our body, then we're kind of more aware, obviously, what causes it, but also, what we need to do to rectify it. There's been a number of different ways that people can, because the energy healing is now something that's really beginning to take off. People are beginning to understand the importance of the energy in our body, and there's a lot of different modalities out there. What is the difference between PEMF that is different to the others?
I've never seen anything that can actually charge up your cellular battery the way this does. And scientifically proven to do so. Like NASA did a big study when they started sending astronauts into space beyond the Earth's magnetic field. They would get sick really fast. So NASA did a 4-year, $3.5 million study to show that when human cell tissue is exposed to certain frequencies and certain intensity ranges, that the cells actually heal faster and get stronger. So the science is there. It's Nikola Tesla was the first one to ever introduce medical devices based on electromagnetic fields. And since then, there's been a lot of research. It's better known in Europe, and most of the initial units came out of Europe, but it's been in North America for 15 to 20 years tops. It actually first was used on racehorses in North America before really on people. But really all it's doing is giving you what we should be getting from nature.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that recharge. When we're around negative people, it drains our energy. Right?
Yes.
And if we're also in situations that kind of put us in fear or doubt or anything, it drains our energy. And we have a lot of draining of the energy in society right now, just around the world with all the transition that's going on. A lot of people are waking up to that consciousness and that awareness that there's pain and anguish in the world that's been caused by man. And as the more and more they waken up to that consciousness, they realize more and more they need to make changes in life. They need to use their energy in a different way. They need to kind of step into their own generator, that love generator, that really it's kindness and caring towards mankind. That is when the energy is actually in flow. That's when, the body, if it hasn't been injured, is in sync with each other. But we've done so much to our bodies, from inwardly diet, and outwardly accidents and various other things that have happened to us, that it's been very, very hard for our bodies to heal. And if the bodies are struggling, then it's hard for our consciousness to rise.
Absolutely. And there's a biological window of cellular healing that relates to the Earth's natural frequencies. So before we electrified this planet, there were only natural frequencies, and we're meant to be in tune and in harmony with those.
Yes.
And everything is connected energetically. So yes, like if a negative person comes into the room, you feel that negative energy.
Mhm.
And this is actually resetting your frequency of your cells. So in addition to charging up your cellular battery, it actually changes the resonant frequency of every single cell in your body so that your cells are resonating with those 0 to 30 hertz earth-based frequencies. A hertz is 1 cycle per second.
Mhm.
So 0 to 30 is very slow. But now, especially the last 20 years plus, we're surrounded by wireless frequencies
Yes.
everywhere,
Mhm.
cell phones and laptops and iPads. And when you hear 2.4 gigahertz,
Yes.
that's 2.4 billion cycles per second
Wow.
instead of 0 to 30 cycles per second. So it's kind of like if I hit a tuning fork and hold up a second tuning fork, this one resonates with the first one, even though I didn't hit it because of the
Mm.
proximity.
Mm.
So we're essentially the same. We're like tuning forks, and we're surrounded by an unseen information field that forces our bodies to resonate at frequencies where you can't heal properly.
Right. We've kind of become conductors, haven't we?
Yeah, we do.
But
But
not necessarily of right energy.
no, we're conducting the wrong because of the
Mm.
environments we live in. We're not conducting the right frequencies. And I
Mm.
think most people know they feel better in nature. They just don't get enough
Yes.
nature time.
Right.
Right?
Right. I just did a show before this, which will come out the same week, Sarah Crave, and she literally moved from England and went to Portugal to live off grid. To grow their own food, to get back to nature, to get back into that frequency. That's an extreme way of doing it. Not everyone can do that. And also, with such an overpopulated earth, there isn't that much space that one can go to that, can rebuild. So we're looking, at that alternative that we can use in our daily lives, in our busy lives that can reset us, because it's all about resetting our
Yeah,
energies into a proper equilibrium that then serves our body. How does that affect if you are resetting, but you've still got the electronics because it's all around you, even if it's next door,
it
it's
is.
there. So, how does the resetting then cope with still the bombardment around you?
Well, when you lay on the mat, so the full body mats are the same size as a yoga mat,
Hmm.
6 feet long, 2 feet wide. And they have 6 copper coils that create the magnetic field. And the magnetic fields, unlike other forms of energy medicine like ultrasound or laser or infrared, they all have a depth of penetration into the body.
Hmm.
But the magnetic fields pass through your entire body as if it's not even there. So it's able to affect every single cell in your body. Um, in a perfect world, you would lay on your mat without any other devices.
Hmm.
But so, for example, I'm sitting here talking on my radioactive iPad.
Yes.
And, but in the back of this chair, I have the back pad from the mat, a smaller pad, inserted into the frame. So as I'm sitting here, I'm getting a bubble of protection that wards off the bad frequencies.
Ah.
So people want to minimize the bad effects, whether it's bad food or bad water.
Mm.
You want to put as much good things in your body as you can, but you want to put your phone on airplane mode at night, and
Mm.
even shut off your router if you can do that easily. So you want to minimize the bad, but you want to optimize the good in your body. And the beauty of this is that it's so simple to do. All you
Mm.
have to do is know how to turn it on and then sit on it or lay on it. Or I have one under my mattress in my bed. So as I go to
Under the
sleep,
whole mattress?
yeah, I have
So
a
it's not
14.
something you lie on top of
Well,
necessarily.
the beauty of the magnetic fields is that my mattress is 14 inches of pure foam, but it passes through that again as if it's not even there. So it doesn't
Right.
minimize the effect. The only thing the magnetic fields don't really pass through is metal.
So if you
So,
have the metal coils in your mattress, that wouldn't be good. Can you
no,
lie on it directly?
you can, oh yeah, you can lie on it directly, but it's not going to be as comfortable as your
Mm.
bed would be,
Mm.
right? So
Right.
some people will put a foam topper on, they'll put
Yeah.
it on top of their mattress. Coil spring mattresses aren't really healthy anyway because the metal is a conductor,
Hmm.
And it's actually conducting just the dirty electricity from your wall plugs and things through your
Right.
body. So
Yeah.
it's not giving you that sleep that you should be getting, deep regenerative sleep.
Mm.
The
So what?
other, the
So if
nice
we have
thing,
those mattresses, do we tinfoil them and then put a foam on top? How do you stop that going through?
well, eventually I would suggest that people replace a coil spring mattress,
Yeah.
when it wears out or they need a new mattress, and not be sleeping on metal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I had a memory foam before, which was great. So, um, is it something that you have to be, like, when you're charging your phone, it's X amount of time, or your computer, it's X amount of time to charge up? Is that the same principle of charging our own bodies, or is it depending on how much damage is done?
It's the same principle, really. It affects every single cell in your body in 8 to 10 minutes.
Mm,
So really quickly, for people
mm,
that are super busy and in a hurry and don't have time to sit down or lay down or for 10 minutes a day, that's how fast it works. Most of the sessions are pre-programmed at 24 minutes.
hmm
So that 24 minutes is actually better than just doing it for 10 minutes.
hmm
And then the effect will last 6 to 8 hours. So ideally, you want to do it twice a day, at
mm,
least. Twice a day will help keep you in those frequencies all the time, because after you're on it, the effect keeps working and the resonance keeps working, but you're going to get overwhelmed by the surrounding environment again.
hmm
And then you're going to start resonating at those higher frequencies.
So
So
if you
ideally,
are in nature, it'll last longer, but if you are amongst other electronics, then it's going to wear down quicker.
yes.
Mm.
Yeah. The more, yeah, and that's, if you're in a big city or you've
Yeah,
got a smart meter on your house and you've got cell phone towers everywhere, and or if you're in a working environment where you've got multiple computers in a room and fluorescent light, those kind of things really wear down your energy more.
right.
But they're also, one of our models is very portable. It's powered by an Android tablet.
Mm,
But once you charge your tablet, you're good for about 6 hours of use without being plugged into the wall.
mm.
So if you did work in an environment like that, you could take it with you to work easily with a backpack that you could just put on your chair. Um, I actually, when I was living in Vancouver, I'm very sensitive to energies.
hmm
So when I knew I was going into a crazy energetic environment, I would put the tablet and the spot pad in a backpack
hmm
and turn it on and wear it, and then it would give me my own little bubble of energy. And I used to do that when I was going hiking or something too, because
hmm
I would just turn up the intensity, and it would give me more energy for going up the hills, or so just my own little bubble wherever I went. But most people will just use it at home, but it is portable for travel, or I used to do long commutes
Mm.
between Vancouver and Salmon Arm. So I would have it on my car seat the whole trip up. Every hour I would just turn it on again.
So is it something that can only charge you up for a certain amount of time, or you can, is it a battery thing that runs out, or is it is it the technology that it one charge a day isn't going to be eventually be enough, or what's holding it back from holding it for 24 hours
From your
for
body holding,
charging? Yeah,
what's holding you back is going into another environment that is pushing you back to a place where you don't want to be.
right.
Right? And then just daily use of your energy.
Mm,
Everything we do requires cellular energy. So our energy can get depleted if you're working hard, or if you're, exercising and jogging and anything like that that depletes your energy resources. You need to get charged up. Just like your cell phone may last all day without a charge, but then it needs to get charged up
yeah.
again.
So is this also good for kind of brain fog or overload, or brain clarity? I mean, do you have to lay on it with your head in order to get that, or is it, being on your back is enough to charge up the whole body?
It charges every single cell in your body.
Right.
That's the beauty of the magnetic fields, is that it
So it
actually
doesn't
reaches.
actually have to touch like your head or anything.
No, no, and you don't even have to be actually in contact with the mat, because it creates a bubble of energy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the back pad that's in this chair isn't touching my back, it's in the frame,
Mm.
right? But So you create a bubble of energy that is probably 1 meter to 1.5 meters. So even if you were 6 inches away from it or a foot away from it, you're still going to get the effects.
Mm. Um, so like if somebody else is kind of in the room with you, they'll also get the effect of it.
Yeah, I have therapists, that use it, say like acupuncturists,
Mm.
that they use it with their clients,
Mm-hmm.
but they're in the room with their clients as well while they're
Right,
doing it, and they're getting the benefit of it all day. And I used to get that with my massage clients too, because
right.
I got my own. I started putting all my massage clients on it, and I would be getting some effect too while they were getting their effect.
Yeah, because they don't realize even, the Tai Chi, Qigong, any of those type of things, if you're doing it repetitively over so many hours of the day, it can be exhausting. Even though it is generating, it can still be wear and tearing. So you're needing something to support that energy.
Yeah. And this is just a really simple and easy way for people to do it without having to learn anything new or learning how to meditate, or
Mm,
so many things require more than just reaching over and turning something on and then just doing whatever. You could be reading a book or watching a movie, or
mm.
doesn't really matter. Laying down and meditating is great, and doing breathing exercises while you're on it is great. But you don't, once you know how to turn it on, that's really all. It's doing all the work for you.
I mean,
It's speeding up circulation, increasing
mhm.
oxygenation. It makes you alkaline. It does so much that I've never seen anything else that can do.
Now, some years ago, about 20 years ago, there was this kind of magnetic mat that was out, and it was kind of all the rage. And then it was kind of proven to be the magnetic proven to be negative to the body. Is that because it was done in a different way, and this process
Well,
about this is different?
you're talking probably about a company that made static magnet pads for the bed.
Mm-hmm,
So and they were very popular. And
mm-hmm,
and any magnet will actually increase your circulation.
mm-hmm.
We have iron in our blood.
Yeah,
So even if you're wearing a magnetic bracelet, it's going to speed up your circulation, and that helps with everything in your body as well.
right.
So even static magnets have a good effect, but it wears off and you become accustomed to it,
Mm,
and then it's not working for you anymore.
right.
So it doesn't have the same effect. This is a pulsed field,
Mm,
and the pulsing of the field makes it that much more effective. So even the Earth's magnetic field is static,
mm,
but we're meant to be walking.
right. Yes.
Primitive people would walk 20 miles a day looking for food. So
Right.
so when you walk, it makes the field pulsed.
Mm. And
and,
we,
and and we weren't wearing rubber soled shoes that insulated us from the planet back then. So
right.
you were either barefoot or wearing animal skin moccasins or
Mm-hmm.
something that protected your feet, but wasn't stopping the magnetic field. And that's the big issue here, is that we've cut ourselves off
Yeah.
from the Earth's natural field, and it's really hard to find. Even walking barefoot in your backyard, for most people, if you're not off grid, you're not walking on the planet's magnetic field. You've
Right.
got electrical grids everywhere,
Yeah.
and those are even becoming big issues for animals. The electricity that runs through the ground gives cows, for example,
Mm.
it gives them problems with their health and their hoofs.
And then, of course, people are eating that. And this is why we're seeing such an incline on things like cancer or even stress or anxiety and depression. Part of that, I think, is the raising of the consciousness where people are, becoming more aware of the pain that we're inflicting upon each other. So, that conscious awareness is what's wrong with the world and how we can put it right, the process we have to go through. But so, back in the day, things like cancer, etc., was such a rare disease, and now it's like become almost as common as a cold, which we have to really look at what are we doing to our bodies in so many aspects of our lives that are creating that cancer.
Yeah. Well, and a big part of it is all this electrosmog that we're
Mm.
surrounded with everywhere. We don't see it, so we're not
You're right.
as, but it definitely has an effect on your cells in a way that most people don't understand the damaging effects. And yeah, all the I call civilization diseases, the Alzheimer's, the autism,
Yeah,
the cancer,
yeah.
they're very much preventable. if you can get your body into in a right environment. And
Mm.
when you charge up your cells actually become happy. So
Yeah.
yes, it works for not only the burnout, but the anxiety and the depression and the mental states, because our emotional and our physical bodies are linked together. You can't separate them.
Yeah.
If you feel bad emotionally, you're going to feel bad physically, and vice versa. If you feel bad physically, you're going to feel bad emotionally. So it affects us on every level. And we just become used to it and think, oh, this is aging and this is
Yeah.
normal and this is what's supposed to happen. And everybody's getting these diseases, so I probably will too. But
Hmm.
that's not the way it's meant to be, and that's not a natural state of health. Your body is constantly trying to heal you, but it
You
just
know,
doesn't have the energy it needs to do it.
yeah. I mean, we're looking at human beings living longer than they ever did before, but that's mostly because of the chemicalization we're putting in our body. When we think back to our generations before, where 40 or 50 was quite old, that was a lot to do with infections where they didn't have antibiotics, and there was succumb to that. That was a great deal to do with hygiene,
Yeah,
which, really there wasn't much of it back then, clean water
yeah,
and all of that. So, when we look at that and we kind of think, well, we're living longer today, so we must be doing something right. Well, no, because we do have access to clean water, to more hygiene, to antibiotics if we get infections. But then while we have that advantage there, well, then we have the disadvantage with all the electronics that are then bombarding our body from another side.
yeah. And we're maybe living longer, but I think at the end of people's lives, there's a lot more people who are in an unhealthy state
Yeah.
for a long, extended period of time. And that's not a normal situation to be in.
No, I mean, I'm one of those people. I've had fibromyalgia for 25 years, and I've
Oh,
been through numerous different type of things to try and help it. And certain things have helped, short time, like acupuncture or
yeah,
acupressure, wonderful because it releases the energy, the chi in the body, but it only lasts so long.
that's
Right?
right.
So,
Yeah,
and they can be quite costly. Qigong and Tai Chi, they're wonderful because it is about the elongation of the body and allowing the energy to run through. But if the energy is low, how much energy is running through the body anyway?
yeah. And fibromyalgia is something that, you know, most doctors don't really understand
No,
it.
no.
They they used to just say it was all in your head. You know,
Yes.
it's not. And in Japan, they actually don't. They call it magnetic field deficiency syndrome.
Ah,
So they've
okay.
done some studies with fibromyalgia client people where they've taken them out into nature, like completely away from everything, and they got better,
Mm,
right?
interesting.
So it's the electrosmog is a huge issue for people with fibromyalgia because they're more sensitive.
Oh, well, they call it the hypersensitive disease.
Yeah,
I have one of the leading doctors in fibromyalgia was my doctor, and I interviewed him to kind of discuss what it is. And there's 31 points to it. And, I had 29 of those 31 points, and it's hypersensitivity. And so everything about your body is heightened. And so
yes,
you actually can kind of feel the current running through your body. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's good energy.
no,
You feel like
no,
you're vibrating, you know.
yeah, yeah, and it's a tough one for most people to deal with because doctors, even when I had my bad back
Hmm.
chronically, they didn't know what was wrong.
Yeah.
They didn't know how to fix it, and PEMF is actually very often compared to a full body needleless acupuncture
Mm,
because it is all about getting that energy flow. And people with fibromyalgia typically have a lot of inflammation as well.
yes, definitely. Yeah.
Inflammation is a major cause of most of the chronic diseases.
Yes.
Uh, and the PEMF helps reduce the inflammation, and it actually gets to the root cause of things because
Mm.
it is at a cellular level.
So it was
And it
rebuilding the cellulars that are damaged at the root level.
Yes,
Mm.
absolutely. So and typically fibromyalgia people have very low energy, right? So
Very. Our
They've got
batteries never
adrenal fatigue,
charge. Yeah.
and so chronic fatigue and
Yes,
fibromyalgia are quite often lumped together
very much so.
because and fibromyalgia, it's a name for, like you said, so many symptoms.
Yes, it's a
Like
conglomerate,
diseases have,
hodgepodge.
yeah, some diseases have, two or three different symptoms, but
Yeah,
like you said, fibromyalgia's got a myriad of different
yeah,
symptoms that are all kind of lumped together,
yes.
and
And
they
and kind of play on each other.
and play on each
Right.
other.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
this addresses the actual root cause, because the root cause is the individual health of each and every one of your cells.
mm,
So when you can give them, your body knows how to heal itself.
yeah.
If you
We
if
just,
you can get the other things out of the way, reduce the inflammation and reduce the pain and increase your energy. We have natural endorphins in our body that your
yeah.
your body produces, but they're not produced in the environments that we're living in. So PEMF stimulates that. So it stimulates stem cell production, so your cells can reproduce and get healthier. Yep.
Yeah, so I've been doing this nearly 11 years, and I found my purpose, my calling, but it's not good for my health because I'm in
No,
front of a computer 7 hours a day, you know.
absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
good for the spirit and everything else, but then the body is going to have to pay for it. So, the electronics aren't going to go away.
No.
We're in this world. There's no way we're pulling the plug on that. We've become too dependent. And it's kind of almost a way of us having to try and find a way to live with the electronic technology as a human being, because that's also part of our advancement in the world,
Yeah.
as a human being. But if we don't find that way to kind of, and I'm always talking about this, the equilibrium, the centering of yourself, bringing yourself back into sync, is so utterly important, because if you don't bring the entire body back into sync, you are out of source. And when you're out of source, disease, will find its way in. So that equilibrium is incredibly important on sustaining our own lives.
Yeah. Absolutely. More so than most people realize. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, again, a number of people obviously in this business, I've been, bombarded with things and like patches that you put on and this and that. And, they're all very kind of well intended, and they work well for some people and things like this. But again, with my body, I just, well, no, it works for me. How come it's not working for you? And isn't, well, do you have the 31 points?
Yeah.
Because it's got, it may work for one or two of those issues, but it's not working for the whole thing. And that's the thing is, when you're rebuilding the actual cellular structure, the cellular structure helps the rest of the body maintain itself, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's not the band-aid or just hitting a certain area. It's about being able to take care of the root cause.
Yeah. And things like drugs typically have side effects. So if you're taking
Yes.
painkillers, people will end up on one prescription, and then they'll have to take something else to counteract the effects of the first one. So that can become a bad rabbit hole to go down. Um, and and even nutritionally and things, it's not even about what's necessarily in the pill. It's what's your body absorbing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the other thing that the PEMF does, is that it makes your cells more permeable,
Hmm.
so the nutrients and the good stuff can get
Mm.
in better, but also the toxins can get out better. A
Right.
big part when people are sick, especially with chronic illnesses, is their body can't eliminate
No.
all the bad stuff that they're taking in, all the preservatives in their food, and all the things that your body really doesn't know what to do with.
Right.
So it stores them, and it typically stores toxins in fat cells,
Hmm.
because it wants to move them away from your organs to protect you. Your
Mm.
body's always trying to protect you,
It's
and then
working overtime.
it'll store them as fat, or if it gets really, really bad, when your energy drops really low, it'll store bad toxins in cancerous tissue as well, right?
Mm.
So tumors are basically little garbage cans full of toxic materials that, and your cells don't know how to reproduce properly anymore, and they
Mm.
just take on a life of their own.
I've said for a long time that, our cellular structure, which is in the trillions in the body, that, when some start breaking down, it's like the one bad apple in the barrel. It
Yeah,
starts affecting all the other cells. And, there's a wonderful vitamin called B17, which is your berries and your nuts. And they're like little Pac-Mans that go after it. But the amount that you have to actually consume to get at the bad cell, and it's known as the cyanide vitamin. Um,
yeah,
and that was banned. I mean, in America, but I know that Max Factor's son had terrible cancer, and they were basically told him to go home and take photographs because that was it. And he went to Mexico to get a treatment of this, and walked out there 3 months later completely cancer free. Um, so but then we wonder why cancer comes back. So we've got kind of cures for things, but then it comes back. Why is it coming back? Well, because we're still bombarding our body with, all that negativity. And we've got to understand that the cells that have been injured, that have been repaired, are vulnerable. And so they're vulnerable to kind of the next attack on the body. And so it's not really the cancer coming back, it's regrowing again, right? Because
yeah,
you've got rid of it, it's not coming back. It's just that because it's vulnerable and not being supported, the cellular structure starts breaking down again.
yeah. So Dr. Otto Warburg found a real correlation between the energy in your cells and chronic diseases and especially cancer. Everybody that has cancer has extremely low voltage in their cells.
Mm.
So a healthy cell has a voltage of minus 70 millivolts. But then as your voltage drops, say to 40 and 50, then the chronic diseases can start to show up. But everybody with cancer has very low, usually around 20 millivolts in their cells. So the cells just don't have the energy
No.
to do what they want to do. And that's why you never hear of heart cancer, really.
Mm.
You you get cancer in all kinds of different parts of your body, lungs and liver and colon and adrenals and pancreatic, but your heart literally has too much energy to get cancer.
Ah,
So
because it's
your
constantly
heart,
pumping.
yeah, because it's constantly working and it's got its own little electromagnetic field. It's got
Right.
the strongest electromagnetic field, and its voltage is 100 to 120 millivolts.
Mm.
So it'll never drop to that level where you're going to get cancer in your heart tissue. Sometimes, very rarely on the surface of the heart.
Mm.
Somebody might get it with a genetic issue, but it's not a typical, you don't hear of heart cancer, right? So,
Is
and
this why
that's,
they use the, electronic thing to pump people to bring them back to life when they have a heart attack?
I'm not sure, but we
Mm.
are electrical.
Right. So
We're
kind of restarting the heart. Yeah.
it's
Hmm.
well, and they know that, like all the machines that measure you are measuring
Yes.
electrical impulses in your body.
Right.
When you flatline, there's
Hmm.
no electrical impulse.
Yeah.
But otherwise, whether it's any diagnostics, CAT scans and MRIs, they're all measuring these electrical fields in your body. But when they come to treat you, they don't treat you with those. They know that if the electrical field is off, that there's something wrong, but they don't correct that.
Because they don't
They,
know which, yeah, because they're again, Western medicine has its brilliance, with many things, it saves many people's lives, but it's not about sustaining life, it's about
yeah,
fixing.
yeah,
And so, what we need to do is like, what's the root cause of the illness? What's the root cause of the problem? We don't want to get to the point where we have to have a heart transplant or we have to have this or that. Or go on massive amount of drugs for something and then it just, again raises its head because you're not taking care of the root problem. We're not trained even as patients to ask, but what's the root cause? What is causing this? And certainly they're not taught in medical school anything even about nutrition, never mind
no,
about electric pulse or anything else.
yeah, yeah. It's a shame. Our medical system has gone down that pathway,
Yeah.
and it's not a holistic one. It's all about drugs and surgeries.
Well, pharmacy. is right behind
Yeah.
it, and
Yeah.
and it's not God's pharmacy, it's pharmaceutical, and their business is to keep you sick because that's how they make a profit, right? Keep you
Yeah.
dependent on drugs instead of finding a way for you to be healthy. And it's very, very hard if you are very unhealthy to kind of get into that positive mindset of overcoming your illness or learning to live with your illness because you're in pain all the time. I've learned to partner with mine, so I have to listen. Energy's running low. I can't push myself any further, otherwise I'll crash. So it gives me, I know my limitations and I know the signs, but I don't really want to live like this, you know.
No.
I've had 25 years of it, and it's like I would very much like to, have. I've got one grandson with another one on the way, and I can't get down on the floor with him and play because I can't get back up again.
Right.
Right. And so, these little things really do matter. And it's, as I said, I've tried many different modalities of, to deal with it. Some have worked like the acupuncture or the acupressure, wonderful, but short periods of time.
Yeah.
So, never kind of really sustaining and obviously not getting down to the root cell,
Yeah.
maybe pumping up the cell, but not getting down to the root cause of it.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of this, is that you have it in the privacy of your own home if you get
Hmm.
your own, and you can use it multiple times a day, which you couldn't afford to do acupuncture like that.
Right.
Right. So other therapies get very expensive, whether you're going to massage or chiropractors or acupuncturists. It all adds up. Right.
Yes, it definitely does.
So and as we found out in the last few years, they might get locked down and maybe you can't even get in to see your
Right.
acupuncturist.
Exactly.
So and also it not only benefits one person, it benefits everybody in your house, your dogs, your cats, your I
So it
put my
doesn't,
food
there's no age bracket on it.
our official company position for babies is 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. So it's still
Uh,
when they're infants. No, I haven't got to wait for them to be toddlers or anything.
no, no, because really all it's doing is giving you the frequencies we should be getting from nature anyway.
Right. So that first 2 weeks is the body identifying with nature.
That's just a
Mm.
it's not a problem. It's just a legal
Right.
contraindication kind of.
Right.
So it's like there's 3 legal contraindications, which are more legal problems than they are actual physical risks.
Right.
Pregnancy,
Yeah.
because they don't do tests on pregnant women ever with
Hmm.
anything, right? So pregnancy is always a contraindication. But we've had lots of women who have used it throughout their whole pregnancy and the baby's on it immediately. And no, there's no issue with it at all. Epilepsy,
Hmm.
again, more of a legal contraindication because statistically somebody might have a seizure during a session and then that might create a legal issue. But I've had a couple of friends who were epileptic and they loved it.
Hmm.
And the other one is electronic implants. So
Heart, uh,
pacemakers,
pacemakers. Yeah. Hmm.
but we've done studies with our actual mats and the newer pacemakers. So any pacemaker since the year 2000 is bipolar, so it's not really a risk.
Mm.
But you would want to check with your doctor to make sure you got a recent pacemaker. But you've got more of a chance of triggering your pacemaker with a blow dryer than you do with using our mat. Right?
Mm.
So again, it's only giving you what you should be getting from nature.
Right.
Uh, and people with pacemakers shouldn't be sitting beside their router either, like those,
Right.
or their smart meter that's behind their bedroom wall, like
Mm.
all those things are much more dangerous but those are legal contraindications for us. But otherwise, if you're on medications, you probably want to watch your dosage because things absorb more efficiently into your
Right. So you
body.
maybe not need as much.
You
Hmm.
won't possibly need as much. I've had people, get off diabetic
Hmm.
insulin. I've had people especially get off painkillers because pain is probably the main reason that people get it. Pain and sleep issues.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
sleep
And
is
again,
huge.
with fibro, though, that's definitely an issue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if you're in pain,
Yeah.
sometimes the pain is what wakes you up, but
Oh, yes.
otherwise, it's also just the mental stress and being in fight or flight mode all the time.
Hmm.
So when you lay on the mat, you're into your parasympathetic nervous system right away. So it calms your nervous
Mm.
system down, gets you out of that fight or flight mode, so you're not there all the time. But also, we have an organ clock built in, so gives you different frequencies for the different times of day. So
Ah,
once you set your clock on your tablet, it knows in the morning you're trying to wake up, so it gives you the more beta frequencies. But at nighttime, it knows you should be getting into delta theta mode. So it gives you 0.5 hertz to get your brain to calm down and really get you in a deeper sleep state.
do you need a separate tablet for this, or can it be put on anybody's tablet?
No, it's a tablet that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't another tablet that's
Mm-hmm.
capable of running it. It's a different system altogether, and the software is built into it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a fully functional tablet, but most people just keep it on airplane mode. They're not doing their emails or their Facebook on it, but you could.
Mm-hmm.
If you were traveling and you didn't want to take your laptop, you could
Mm-hmm.
just use the tablet as your computer device as well.
That's a question. If you are traveling and and you're charging it, you have different, voltages from one
Yep.
country to another. Does that affect it?
The charger comes with different adapters
Mm,
because we basically ship anywhere in the world. The
right.
company's Switzerland, and they're 26 years old now. But they ship to all parts of the world. So when you get your mat, the charger has different plugins for the different countries where.
Now, does anything have to be, does anything wear out and you have to replace it?
If you were looking after your mat well, I mean, I've got mats that are over 7 years old that are still in perfect condition because I look after them.
Hmm. What do you
If
have
you,
to do to look after them?
well, I usually cover mine with something. I don't
Mm.
usually lay directly on the mat. It's covered with a blanket or a yoga mat or a piece of foam or something. So I'm not actually getting it dirty by sitting on it.
Hmm.
And any electronic device can break down, but there's not a lot of issues with the tablets. But everything is individually replaceable. If you did break a cord or lose a
Mm.
charger, you don't have to buy a whole new system.
Right.
You can buy the replacement for whatever is lost or broken.
Now, obviously this is a layout of a cost initially,
Yeah.
but it's a longevity thing. So one has to break it down and look at it of being used daily over a long period of time. So, what kind of cost are we actually looking at for which ones?
In US dollars or Canadian dollars?
Give it in the US.
Okay, and so in US dollars, the basic mat starts at 3,600
Hmm.
and then goes up. We have two different mats. There's the more portable one, which is less expensive. And then we have a higher grade one that it's a thicker mat. It doesn't fold up as small. It needs to be plugged in all the time. But it also has the option of having far infrared built into the full
Mm.
body mat.
Hmm.
So that's nice and warm, also has extra anti-inflammatory benefits. And it has that nice warm cozy feeling, which is lovely as well, right? So that one goes up a lot more in price. They go up as high as $10,000.
Wow. Wow. But, again, we'll buy a car, we'll invest in a computer, we'll invest in other things, but we don't invest in our health. Uh,
Absolutely.
do they have a plan to help people if they're purchasing it, or is it straight out?
We have finance companies that we deal with in Canada and in the US and in Italy, I think, but
Hmm.
most of the world, you can get the financing anywhere, but we have people who are used to dealing with us.
Right.
Uh, Simplifies it for people, and we help people through that process.
Hmm. And if you were to, fall asleep on it, will it automatically switch itself off?
Yeah, it stays on for an hour maximum, and then at the
Hmm.
end of the hour, it switches off. So the one I have under my mattress, for example, I'll turn it on at night as I'm going to sleep. But that model also has an alarm clock kind of feature where I have it set to come on at a certain time every morning
Hmm.
without me having to wake up and turn it on.
Right. Yeah.
So
So
my
that
first
means you're
session,
getting your morning and your night charge.
yeah.
Right.
So if someone was super busy, they could just do that and it wouldn't take any extra time. They could just do their 2 sessions while they're laying in their bed.
Hmm.
I have it built in. I've got multiple mats kind of in my environment. So I've got one under my mattress, but I also have one on a chaise lounge. So if I want to lay flat, I can. Or if I want to sit up and I'm watching a movie, I can sit up and get a full body treatment on that at the same time. And then I have it built into my chair here as well. So all the places where I sit or lay have a mat built in, so that all I have to do is reach over and turn it on.
Right. And you obviously use it more than
I
morning and
I
night.
I do. I for the first probably year, I was doing it 2 or 3 times a day, and that was good. And then I was doing really well, but I thought, ooh, what'll happen if I use it more? Will I actually improve even more? And I found for me that yes, using it more and using the local applicators as well, the back pad and the spot pad. Spot pad's great. It's nope, here's one here. It's like two discs that you could put on either side of a joint or a knee, or so I'll use those at different times. If I'm watching a movie or reading a book or working on my iPad, I'll just turn them on and have be giving myself therapy, because joints are really important. So I like to do my feet and my knees and my elbows. I had some elbow injuries before, and I like to play golf. Before I got the mat, I couldn't play golf my whole life because it would make my back hurt. Now, if I want to play golf, I can play every day as long as the weather's nice, right? So
Right.
it's preventative. It's really reversed my aging for the last 7 years. And I didn't want to just maintain, I wanted to improve. So I know 2 months from now, I'm going to feel even better than I do today. It's just been a steady improvement.
Now, so if you have the mat, like, as I'm 7 hours a day at the computer, if I had the mat kind of behind my back here and it was on first thing in the morning and on again at night, is that not reaching the legs, or would I have to kind of move it around in order for it to reach the legs?
Well, you're best to use the full body mat before you do the local applicators. But if you're sitting on your chair, you'd want to put the back pad on your chair. So, and the back pad is more doing, I mean, it does affect your whole body, but it's more on the area that it's closest to. So it's advisable to do the full body mat to get the whole body, and then go for the local applicator. So yeah, if I was doing what you were doing, I would be turning it on, maybe not the first week, because your body's not used to it, and you don't want to do too much too fast. You don't want to create a healing crisis where your body's toxic and all of a sudden it starts dumping all these toxins, and now you feel sick, you got a headache or you got a stomach ache. But once your body's used to it, I would be putting it hour after hour while I'm sitting on the computer to protect myself. And the most important thing is that you're well hydrated. So very important to drink water, because as your body gets the energy, it wants water. We're basically walking bags of water. And then pay attention to how you feel. I've only had a couple of days in 7 years where it's like, oh, that's enough energy for today.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But you don't crash afterwards either, right? So it's just like, oh, maybe you did it too late at night and now you can't sleep or something. But otherwise, for me, doing it more has just been more effective. Some people will say there's no real benefit, but I found that there is a benefit to doing it more than just twice a day.
Then I suppose it would come to, what is the injury, what is the age, and how long has the damage been there?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So depending if you were kind of just had an injury, but you were healthy beforehand, then you're going to heal quicker and need it less. But if it's something that if you're decrepit like me, you would need it more often.
Yeah, most people have chronic stuff that they've had for a long time.
Yes.
Even people that think they're healthy, they're not. Like, they may feel good, but they're not as healthy as they could be, especially internally. We don't feel all the little things that go wrong in our bodies.
Yeah.
So to have something, for me, a big part of the motivation was I didn't want to go down that cancer route.
Right.
The entire family went down, and I didn't ever want to feel like I was injured or have chronic pain again. And I just mentally feel confident that I know that if I ever do hurt myself, I can fix it really fast. Things heal twice as fast with this as just the normal process, because as we age, we don't heal as fast.
Right.
And when you get more chronically ill, that healing process slows down even more and more and more, to the point where you're not really healing, you're barely maintaining, and you're probably getting worse.
Yeah.
We we're never standing still.
No.
Everything is always changing, and you're either getting worse or you're getting better. And
Yeah.
99.99% of people are getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I feel just so much mentally better that I know that I'm not getting worse every day.
You're right. Yeah. And let's face it, we never ever in the history of time have we had people 60 plus, have another career. It's like it used to be retirement, take up golf or knitting or good works, and rock on the rocking chair. And now we're seeing so many people, like myself. I'm 57. I started this. I'm 68 now, and I will continue to do it for as long as I can do it. And,
Yeah.
I've interviewed people in their 80s and 90s still being productive, and we've not seen that in the past. So,
No.
it is that we're not at the end of our lives at 60 or 70. We still got a
No.
lot more to give, but we just need our bodies to comply.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much more for people to do in this world, but a lot of those things that are doing are putting you in close proximity to all these electronic devices as well.
Yes,
So you
unfortunately,
can,
yes.
you can, I think our bodies are designed to live much longer than we do.
Yeah. Well, I think, what was it? At least, we were designed to live to 150 or something. And we've got
There's,
many, we've got people that are 105, 110,
yeah,
but look at their lifestyles, look where they're living. Um, you've heard of Emoto and the water
yeah,
test, right? So, we're about 90% something water in our body, um and the test was, three glasses, one water ignored, another one given negativity, one positivity. The ignored one didn't change, and the one that was given negativity actually changed color and density, and the one that was given the positivity literally crystallized, which you could actually measure the energy of it. I interviewed his assistant a couple of times on the water and how they've doing research on areas where, people, not only the pure water, but the lifestyle and the longevity and the health of it, which is a huge thing. If we're 90% plus of water in our body, and our body is constantly being bombarded by negativity, which it is on the outside with the news and lifestyle and everything else, and then electronic negativity, how can our body kind of crystallize into that positive energy because it's been bombarded all the time?
exactly. And water has memory, so it's
Yes,
stored.
yes.
So all the traumas and things that we've experienced and the injuries, they're
Yeah.
stored in the intracellular water in our bodies. So to release those is remarkable, and that's what happens with the mat, is that
Mm.
it's allowing the body to release all that stored trauma that's in the body, because
Mm.
we are basically made of water. And
Yeah.
it actually, if you put your water on it, it actually lowers the surface tension of the water, so the water becomes more absorbable for your cells.
Yeah. Because it's kind of, can't remember the exact wording of the statistics, but the kind of the amount of water that we're drinking today and the quality of the water today is not quenching us, is not feeding us.
No,
It's just not sustaining us because of the water, either, the absorbing it, and B, the actual quality of the water.
yeah, the quality of the water is a big thing, and the energy of the water. So
Yeah.
water in nature, everything in nature moves in spirals and torus effects. Victor Schauberger did a lot of studies on water, and created systems where water would flow more as it did in nature.
Hmm.
If you put a spin or a vortex back into your water, it recreates the energy. So water that we're getting out of our taps is coming through all these straight pipes.
Yeah.
Apart from the chlorine or whatever else they're adding to the water, fluoride in some places, or just the dirt on the inside of those pipes. I would hate to
Hmm.
look at it, like, so filtering your water is great, but it doesn't have the life force in it anymore,
No,
right?
no.
So somehow to recreate that. So if you can restructure the water somehow so that it's just more absorbable and has a better structure when it goes into your body,
Yeah.
That's why I put my food on it when I get home from the store, and fruits and vegetables will last longer and taste
Mm.
better. Yeah,
Yeah, that's very interesting. The just changing because I mean, if it's changing the cellular structure of the body, why can't it change the cellular structure of anything else that's alive?
exactly. It
Hmm.
can. Yeah. And people's pets actually quite often they'll notice that their dogs or their cats want to come and lay on it. They're more
Yes.
sensitive to it.
Yeah.
They notice it. We used to have a cat that would cry and walk over to the mat until you turned it on, and then they'd lay down and purr, right? So
They know a good thing, right?
yeah, they
Yeah.
do. We could learn a lot from
Oh,
animals,
we
and
definitely
they
can.
don't have the belief system, and
Right.
that's part of the issue with this is that it sounds too good to be true.
Yeah, exactly. How could it possibly work? And talking about animals, when I had a border collie, and whenever I did a show, she'd be at my feet because my vibration would go up, my energy would go up because I love what I do, and she wanted to be a part of that. And then once the
Yeah,
show was over, off she would go. But no, I think again, we've been conditioned to spend our money on things that really we don't need, but we've been convinced that we need. And what we
yes,
don't realize is the things that we're spending the money on is what's been a detriment to us. And that we're not saying you can't have a TV or a computer because that would be illogical to do so, as it's very much mainstream of our lives now. But we've also got to combat the effects that those have on us. And that, I'm always talking about we've got to bring our bodies back into sync, back into balance. All of our discord in life is brought about from the imbalance emotionally, physically, spiritually, every way we can think of. And so that equilibrium is there. Now we can do so much with thought, we can do so much with action. But if we're not doing, and we can do so much with diet, but again, if we're not really hitting that cellular structure, it's kind of, I won't say futile because everything is, that you're doing good for your body is good for you, but it's not really having the real impact that rejuvenating your cellular structure will do.
yeah, and that's what I noticed in my own body and in the people that I helped lay on the mat as well, and with
Mm.
my massage clients and everybody else, is that I'd never seen those kind of results consistently
Mhm.
with people. For years, I'd worked with nutritional products because I was still, again, trying to keep myself healthy. But what worked for one person nutritionally didn't work for somebody else.
Right.
And
Part of
even
that's the
with
absorption, and part of that is that's not what the body really needs, right?
That's right. Yeah,
Hmm.
and the same with different kinds of therapies. What
Mm,
works, acupuncture is great for some people. For some people, it just doesn't seem to have the same effect, right? And there's always with therapists, there's always how good is the therapist?
hmm.
How good are their massages, or how good is their acupuncture points, and how good is their chiropractic adjustments? Whereas this, it doesn't matter. It's the same every time, right?
There's
It's
no ego.
there's no ego involved. There's no belief system
Right.
involved, right? There's
Just
not
switch
none of
it
that.
on and it'll do its work.
Switch it on and let it do its work. Yeah. So
Right.
and people will use it because of that, because
Mm.
it's a simple thing to integrate into your life. You just got to figure out where to put it in your house so that it's easy for you to just turn it on and benefit.
Right. Yeah. And, things like fibromyalgia, which is now being classified as a disease, under the medical thing, there is no cure for it.
Yeah.
It's just something you have to manage. And, people don't realize you're throwing up a whole load of balls up in the air trying to catch them all at the same time. And you're going to drop some. And also it's very hard disease to actually describe to anyone because they can look at you and you look all right.
Yeah.
Nothing's sticking out, or, you haven't got the obvious broken back, but, why are you hurting?
Yeah.
And it's and you can't explain it to someone who doesn't know. So I definitely would love to turn the frequency down in my body, the buzzing that's constantly going through, because sometimes I feel like I just plug myself in and
Yeah.
charge something up. Uh, and I know it's the wrong energy. It's not a good energy. It's obviously some energy that's trying to disperse itself and not having a good time doing it. So yeah, there's so many. You've got fibromyalgia, you've got arthritis, you've got what is it? Blah, 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 blah. the other arthritis. But you've got all of those things. And as you said, so many diseases today, even emotional ones, it's inflammation.
Yeah,
And, and we've never seen the body, I think, go through so much informational problems as we are having today.
yeah. Well, we've never had so many toxic things in our environment, from
Right.
the food preservatives, glyphosate that's in everything, and even say, like electric cars.
Yes.
And now cars have Wi-Fi built in.
Yeah.
So that's not good. I have a meter that I measure things with to see
Mm.
how bad the effects are. Not a good place to be sitting all the time in a vehicle that's got a Wi-Fi in the dash.
Mm-hmm.
We want all these conveniences, but we could have been a lot healthier without some of them.
Yeah.
And hopefully one day they'll, find a way to make cell phones that aren't giving us bad frequencies.
Right.
But in the
Yeah.
meantime, I've never seen anything that can counter the effects of all that, and actually improve your health in a non-invasive way. It's an initial investment, but once you have it, it's good. I know people that have had mats for 15 years and they're still working fine, right? So
Well, it's like buying a good mattress, right?
yeah,
You want one that's going to last. You're going to be on it 8 hours a day. You want to know that it's comfortable. And so you'll spend the money on it. You will in your car because you want something reliable and comfortable and safe. So we've just, it's like when we used to talk nutrition and good food. Oh, I can't afford organic. Well, when you actually feed the body food that hasn't been contaminated by chemicals, your body is going to flourish more and it's going to feel fuller, because it's getting the nutrients it needs, so you don't eat as much. But we've got, the case of obesity where people are constantly hungry because the food is empty of nutrition.
yeah, absolutely. And creating all kinds of other problems in your body, that
Yeah, yeah,
we're not used to. Our bodies weren't designed to absorb all these chemicals. And
no,
when you put it in your body just doesn't know how to process it, and most people's elimination isn't good enough. So
yes.
so we eliminate through not only our bowels, but we also eliminate through our skin and through our breath.
Mm,
And all those elimination channels are opened up with the PEMF. So your body just gets rid of things in a much more efficient way,
mm.
and absorbs the good things better as well.
Right. Well, I mean, it's I had this, wonderful woman on for 5 years as a host, and they called her Snake Oil Woman back in the 60s because she was talking alternative, right? And she would always say, the liver, the colon, and the kidney are kind of the most important organs because if they're out of sync, so is everything else,
Everything
right?
is.
And so, we don't give credence, and my brother's just ended up with kidney problems. My mother had that as well. And it's just like the body just can't get rid of the toxins, fast enough or in the proper way. So we're doing a disservice to our body. And
Absolutely. And
so,
and
again,
good things may be expensive, but being sick is very expensive as well.
oh yeah, well, especially, in America, we're covered here, but still, not on the alternatives. We're not covered for, I mean, the thing about with fibromyalgia, when I was going for acupuncture every 2 weeks, or going to my massage therapist, who was a wonderful acupressurist, it
Yeah,
maintained my body and my equilibrium. And then they stopped covering that, and I couldn't afford to keep doing it. And so, oh, we'll give you a pill. The pill doesn't do it.
no,
It doesn't do it. I'm sorry. So, the thing is, um, the things that do work for us, they keep taking away. So, would you think that there is a future where this technology will go over to the way things are powered, like instruments are powered? I mean, a computer has a cellular structure. Do you think that that the same principle could be actually used in our technologies?
I think so. Yeah, I think there needs to be some motivation to make technologies safer.
Yes,
And I almost think that it's purposely done not to right now.
right.
That it's a lot of things are purposely brought out to reduce our health.
Yeah, big pharma.
Big pharma, there's an agenda there. So if we can switch that, but like in my mind, everybody on the planet should have a mat in their house.
Yeah.
And look how fast cell phones took over the world, right?
Well,
So
the other thing is it's expensive now, but the more people actually do purchase, costs go down, don't they?
it can, but also the requirements for making things keep going up. The cost
True.
of
Yes. At the present
cost
moment, yes. Yeah.
cost of all the pieces that go into it, and the computer chips and the silver and the copper and all those things keep going up in price. So that they try and maintain the prices as much as they can. And there's a lot more expensive. There's PMF machines out there that are 30, 40, $50,000, some of the high intensity stuff, but it's not really for home use.
Right.
But
Is that
and
hospital
there
use?
are, pardon me?
Is that hospital use?
Clinical use sometimes. So again, even with PEMF, there's two different kind of philosophies. One is what ours is, which is to replicate nature's frequencies and then allow your body to heal in a natural way by creating the right environment in your body. The high intensity machines are, again, they're almost more of an allopathic model, is that they're trying to force a stronger healing reaction by creating a stronger magnetic field with a higher intensity. So if you were just going to a clinic once a month, you might get a stronger reaction that day, but it's not going with that philosophy of recreating nature's best way of doing it. You're trying to force the body. We've taken, in the allopathic world, they've taken a warfare mentality towards the body.
Yeah.
Kill the
Let's
virus,
attack it. Yes. Yeah.
attack it, kill that, and cut this out. And that's, to me, it's much more about allowing the body to come into its own balance by giving it what it wants and needs,
Yeah.
which is essentially nature's frequencies and clean water and sunshine and good clean food and good rest and movement and exercise. And we need all those things. It's not just one thing, but the PEMF allows a lot of that to happen in a more natural and easy function for people. Because when you're in severe pain, you can't exercise. You probably
No.
can't maybe even go for a walk. Or when my
I'm
back was
lucky enough that I can do a walk, but it's slow and steady and not long.
yeah,
Right? And if I do push myself, I will pay for it.
you pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
When I see my family 2 or 3 days of that, I'm going to come home and I'm going to pay for it.
yeah.
So, yeah.
So that's not the best quality of life to
No.
have, right? So it's all about improving your quality of life.
Yeah.
And that's the big difference I've seen with this technology, is that no matter what the diagnosis, it's going to improve.
Right.
Because it's working on every single cell in your body, right? That
We eat every day.
You can't sit on it every day and have it not change your body.
Exactly. We consume food every day. We go to the bathroom every day. We sleep every day. We do things that are every day. And what we want is our performance and our quality of life to maintain the passion and what we want to do in life. I have one hell of a lot more that I want to do, but I'm governed by my energy of how much I can do. And, sometimes it's hard for people, just do this, just do that. You don't understand, like I draw the analogy, it's like an old battery in a phone. The phone still works perfectly all right, but the battery doesn't charge up fully anymore. And it depletes quickly. And it's really hard for people to get to understand that I don't want the limitation. My enthusiasm is here, but my body is there.
Yeah.
And there's so many of us out there. So many.
Oh,
yeah.
Millions of people. Most people in the
hardly anybody is not affected.
Not them, they know somebody.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah. So I mean, this is kind of something that even as a family, to even invest just in the mattress one, that everybody morning and night is getting their charge.
Yeah. Yeah, and your immune system's going to be stronger. You're not going to be susceptible to, I can't remember the last time I got sick with anything, right? hasn't happened. Well, it hasn't happened in the last 7 years. I
Right.
haven't had a cold or a flu or, had to take day off from doing something I want to do because my body's not up to it.
And the other thing is, we talked about sugar, like sugar high. I live with an 89-year-old, and the amount of sugar and salt that she takes in her body in a day, there is no way I could do that. I eat
Yeah,
the dark chocolate, she's into the milk chocolate, and like the spoons of sugar that are in her tea, even sugar on the cereal that's already sugared,
sugar.
everything. And salt. Oh, no, no, I'm not using very much, and I can't use salt at all.
Yeah,
At all. I'm totally sodium intolerant. And I look at her and it's like, how did you get here? But we have to remember in her growing up, foods were more natural, less chemical. There were not the all these electronic devices and things around her. And just the cellular structure of her body had a chance to be stronger than it
yeah,
did in especially, I mean, yeah, in my early years, I was fine, but in the later years where we've become so dependent on the electronics.
yeah. And sugar is a bad one, especially for people with cancer. They need to get off sugar, right?
Yeah,
Sugar feeds the cancer. But and there's so many artificial sweeteners now,
yes.
right? Things that aren't called sugar that have other names so that you won't recognize that they're
Yeah,
sugars.
what fructose
Sugar,
or yes, and yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. The high fructose corn syrup
yeah.
is especially bad as a form of sugar. But bread has sugar, and
Mm,
there's sugar everywhere. Even rice has sugar. Like there's sugars in a lot of things. Fruits have sugars, but you want to get the more natural kind of sugars because we need sugar as well.
yeah.
Our body needs some sugars to function properly. It's part of our fuel,
Mm,
but yeah, teaspoons of white sugar in your tea or your coffee is overboard. But we've become addicted to it. Sugar
yeah.
is very addictive, right?
Yes, yes, I
And just
managed to walk away from that I mean, yeah, if as you said, in the bread and things like this, and I like the very dark chocolate. So very much less sugar in there, but she makes this jam where they don't cook the sugar. It's kind of just like frozen, and I had just a dip and taste of it. My eyeballs just went cross-eyed,
yeah,
It's like she pours it on, and
yeah,
it's like, and it marvels that she's still going. But all I can contribute it to is that in her growing up before the bombardment of all of this, she grew up with healthy food. She was
yeah,
very physical, right? So she was into sports and things like this, and the environment wasn't so toxic as it is now. But in the
no,
last 30 years, 40 years, the toxicity of our bodies is pure saturation of our environment.
yeah. And when we grew up, I'm the same age as you. Childhood was different. You
Very
were
different.
out
Playing.
playing, day
Hmm.
running around. You weren't sitting indoors on your video game or
Yeah,
your pad or so kids these days are they're not getting the same kind of food. They're eating a lot of fast foods
yeah.
and they're becoming overweight even as more so than when I was a kid. There weren't as many overweight kids in my
No.
school as you see these days.
Very,
So
very rare to see that
the,
at that
the
time. And it
future,
was genuine problem, your genetic problem that they had that, right?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And when as they said, there's people dying that are 200, 300 pounds, but they're dying of malnutrition because they're not getting nutrients,
yeah.
right? The bodies are saturated so they can't absorb a nutrient because it's so toxic, and the foods they're eating are just adding more toxicity.
Yeah, and they're not even really food. They're
No,
food-like substances, right?
exactly.
They're not real food.
No.
People need to try and get as much real, natural, close to the source, local even food as they can,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, definitely try and stay away from the pesticides. And if you say you can't afford organic, it's you at least maybe try and wash some of the pesticides on the surface off, but they
Yes.
still get
They still
absorbed.
penetrate.
They still penetrate into the fruit or the apple or whatever it is. They're not just on the surface. If you just peel it, it's not going to work, right?
Right.
So
Well, that's what they say about peanuts. The peanut itself is not really where the allergy is. It's all the pesticides that peanut has absorbed,
yeah,
right? So, where we kind of like to blame something, we don't realize it's because of what we add to it or how we grow it. And we're trying to feed the world, and we've ended up starving the world.
Yeah,
And we need to go back to less is more, and really earth grown. Earth provided us with everything. We didn't have to go GMO, and we didn't have to go
no,
pesticide. There are so many other alternative ways that we can do things. But chemicalization stepped in, and of course it was extremely profitable. And
absolutely.
and so where there is profit, there is greed, and there is an accountability for the repercussions of it. It's just
Yeah,
too much money. Who cares if a few people die?
yeah,
Until the masses start dying or start getting cancer or start getting, we see an incline on Alzheimer's. We've seen an incline on anxiety and depression and suicides. And I think a great deal of that is to do not only with our environment, but also with the bombardment of chemicals in our body.
absolutely. Yeah,
So there's a lot need to be done. So we could start by resetting our cellular structure back to the Earth zone, right? So
yeah,
we're at one with the Earth, and that will help, I would imagine, also kind of repel certain things going in your diet that, oh, I just can't eat that anymore, because your body is being reset and it doesn't want to tolerate certain things.
absolutely. Yeah, people's tastes will just naturally
Yeah.
change. They won't they won't be attracted to quite often the sugary stuff or the things that they used to have to do for energy because they feel good and they feel energized and they're not needing that crash in the afternoon. They don't need that
Yeah.
extra cup of coffee to get them through the day that they might have before because they didn't have energy.
Hmm.
So it can change everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
What are we if we don't have energy? We're just
yeah,
a blob of suffering flesh.
yeah, yeah,
And every single thing around us is energy. Every single thing is a measured particle. And we are magnetic creatures, and we are all working on this frequency, but we need to be in tuned. So if we need to be in tuned, we need to get the body in tuned so that the consciousness can be in tuned.
yeah,
So it's investment in your body, but at the same time, it will give you the energy and the longevity to actually go out there and make that difference in the world that we need to seek.
absolutely.
How do people get hold of you to know more about the product and to purchase it if they're so interested, or just want to know more and have a chat with you?
The best way is just to go to my website, which is PEMF, so Peter Edward Michael Frank Solution, no S on the end, just PEMFsolution.com. And there's lots of info on there. There's a contact application page if they want to reach out and have a free consultation with me over the phone. There's no pressure, there's no charge. I'm never trying to twist people's arm to get one. I just want to provide as much education and information so people can make up their own mind if it's a good thing for them to do. I highly suggest it, but I'm not a high pressure salesperson or anything.
Right,
I enjoy helping people. I want to make sure people don't go down the roads that they may not have to go down if they don't have to and they don't want to.
right.
And it's just the best for me. It's been the best investment I've ever made in my health. And then helping other people with the technology has also provided an income stream for me as well.
Mm,
So that's been a wonderful thing as well. A lot of people's stress is financial as well as all the other stuff that's going on in their lives. So I like to help people on that level as well.
excellent. So people can reach you at PEM, PEMF solution.com. Also adrianstrong.com at gmail.com, LinkedIn, Adrian Armstrong, Facebook, Adrian.Armstrong2. And then there's also a Facebook PEMF solution, which people can find information there as well. And I think, some people may go, oh my God, can I afford that right now? And, I think kind of look into the payment plan. We have it for everything else. We have it for a car. We have it for a mortgage, this is something that you are investing in the structure of your body, of your wellness, of your mind, of your equilibrium. And, if we need to kind of look at how do I get my foundation of my body in sync, because then I can build anything from there. But, if we're feeling at all challenged physically or emotionally, brain fog, over anxiety, overwrought, just sluggish, hard to get through the day, then we just need to reset. Nature, it's wonderful. You can go out and lay in nature for 8 hours a day and get recharged, right? But if you can't do that and you are around the electronics, then you need to kind of combat that electronics with a solution that resets you so that your body isn't going to pay the price.
Absolutely. And even in nature, if you're laying on the beach or hiking in the mountains, you probably still have a cell phone signal.
Yes.
So you're not actually, some people can get off grid to a place where there is no service, and that's the healthiest. But again, then you can't communicate with people properly. So
right.
It's a catch-22, right?
Yes.
So we're living in a world that has changed, and we kind of have to adapt to it. That's what human beings are, very adaptable.
We are. Yeah.
But you want to be healthy. You don't want to be suffering and have no energy and be in chronic pain all the time and can't sleep.
I don't recommend it. It's not fun. It's not fun. And, as I said, I've been in it 25 years, but, for other people who, may have had an accident or are young and they want to prevent things from happening down the road, don't wait until you get something. Use this as a preventative so that you always stay healthy. And then you really can have the energy to go and really face life and achieve what you want to achieve, because the energy is with you, the right energy.
Absolutely. Well
Thank
said.
you so much for sharing with us, Adrian. It's definitely given me food for thought. As I said, I've tried so many things. As I said, it's not fun living with it. And I know so many people have one thing or the other. And it's hard to find that thing that's going to kind of take care of business, if you know what I mean. Where you can really kind of rely on it. It's doing what it needs to do so that you can get on and do what you need to do. So please, folks, do look into that. Don't be pushed away by the price point. Have a look at it and go, really, will this make a difference in my life? And will it allow me to be more proactive and productive in my life, that the expense would be nothing in the end? So it's invest in yourself. You're worth it. Until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Find all of our shows on selfdiscoverymedia.com under podcasts or selfdiscoverymedia/shows. And for all our current shows, go to What's New. We are supported by you, the audience. You'll see a nice big shiny blue button for one-time donations, or follow us on Patreon and you will be able to support us there. We enjoy bringing you such wisdom. And the next show will be up in just a moment.